phones and the living... In many countries, mobile phones are called cell phones. Is there a similarity between these cell phones and the living cells of our body? Although these phones do not have any biological association, they are called cell phone because of the meaning of the term cell. A cell means a small compartment. In case of mobile phones, the operator divides the regions into small areas called the cells. Each cell has a controlling tower that sends and receives signals as the phone is carried from one cell to another. Such network is called cellular network. Each cell here is the structural and functional units of the cellular network. Cells of living beings are the smallest structural and functional units, with nuclei as their control centers. The cell is as fundamental to biology as the atom is to chemistry. Look at these two parts of our body. They have different structures and they perform different functions. In spite of structural and functional differences, both these organs are made up of the same fundamental units, the cells. We define cells as the structural and functional units of life. What do the terms structural, functional, and units mean? A unit here means the smallest part that can be called living. A cell is the simplest collection of matter that can live. If you further break down a cell, it loses all the characteristics of life. The word structural refers to the physical entity. Look at this room made up of walls. As you can see, bricks are the smallest structural components of this wall. In the same way, cells are the smallest building blocks of any living being. The word functional refers to life processes. We say that we can breathe, move, and grow. But what is it inside our body that is making it possible? It is the cells. All life processes that make us living are actually performed by the cells of our body. Viruses have complex biological molecules, but they are not considered living. This is because viruses can reproduce only when they are inside a living cell. Outside a cell, they are like any other non-living object. How big is a cell? Let's look at the diversity found in cell sizes. If we start from a rice grain, which is a few millimeters in length, then an average amoeba is about 200 micrometers. A pollen grain is about 80 micrometers. A skin cell is about 30 micrometers. Our red blood cells about 10 micrometers. A yeast cell 5, and a bacterium as small as 1 micrometer in length. Viruses are even smaller than these. An ostrich's egg is the largest cell we know of, whereas bacterium mycoplasma is the smallest. Human nerve cells at over a meter long are the longest cells in our body. In plants, the green alga, Acetabularia, has the longest cell. Observe the difference in size between a blue whale, the largest animal on the earth, and an average human being. Are the cells of a blue whale larger than human cells? No. Larger animals do not have larger cells. Most cells are microscopic. Even when you are looking through a microscope, it is difficult to distinguish between human cells and the cells of other animals. Why can't we have a few large cells rather than trillions of microscopic cells? As the size increases, the same amount of DNA in the nucleus cannot control all activities efficiently. Also, with increase in cell size, it is difficult to exchange material with the surroundings. Why is the shape of an umbrella the way it is, and not the other way? The shape of an object plays an important role in determining its function. The same is true for cells. Cells have diverse shapes that help them to perform diverse functions. Nerve cells are long and have branches so that they can relay messages faster and farther. The cylindrical shape of muscle cells helps them to carry out movements and locomotion. Xylem cells of plants are hard, rigid, long, and hollow to provide support and transport for water. Red blood cells are disc-shaped to facilitate their movement through the blood vessels. Amoeba, on the other hand, is a single-celled animal that can constantly change its shape. Normal red blood cells are disc-shaped. There is a disease called sickle cell anemia, in which the red blood cells are deformed. How would this affect the individual? Robert Hooke was a British natural philosopher who discovered cells in 1653. He observed thin cork sections under the microscope. He recorded his observations in his book, Micrographia. He described what he saw under the microscope as honeycomb-like structures with many boxes or compartments. He called these compartments the cells. Other major contributors in the early period of cell biology were 1670s, Anton van Leeuwenhoek created improved optical microscopes. In 1839, Jakob Schleiden and Theodor Schwann proposed the doctrine of cell theory. According to this, all living beings are made up of cells, and the cell is the fundamental structural and functional unit of all living beings. Rudolf Virchow modified the doctrine in 1855 when he added omnis cellula est cellula, which means all cells arise from pre-existing cells.